Have you ever heard that expression that life is 10% of what happens to us and 90% of how we respond to it? I think that's true of a lot of different things in life, especially with the carnivore diet. It's true with carnivore, it's true with the ketovore diet. I think it's true with any kind of ketogenic diet or actually any kind of weight loss journey that we're on. 10% of our diet is what we consume and what we eat. I think the other 90% of it is something completely else. And that something else is what we're going to talk about today, right here, right now, in this video. What do you say with that? We get the conversation started. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jason Bonnickson. If you've never ever met me before, I am a small town Lutheran rural pastor from southwestern Minnesota. Yeah, sure, don't you know? And I am over the last 30 years, I've just gotten way too big for my britches. Like I gained over 150 pounds that my body, my frame just couldn't handle. And I know that my body is supposed to be a temple for the Holy Spirit. I hear that in the scriptures. I know that as a pastor, but I hadn't been living that way. And so this year in 2025, I just decided to do something about it and get healthy again. And this video is a part of that journey. One, to keep me accountable, and two, because I hope to inspire a few of you to come along with me in the journey to get healthy too. After all, we are in a Maha movement again, after all, are we not? In any event, yeah, what we consume, it's 10% of our dieting experience. The other 90% is something completely else. And to tell you about what that is, we're gonna take a stroll over to my favorite place. Currently, we're sitting in my office here at New Hope Lutheran Church in the small town of Comfrey. I do a lot of work here. I spend a lot of time in this building. My office isn't my favorite spot in the building. And so just to continue the conversation with you, I want to bring you over there. So why don't we do that right now? How about let's just go for a little walk and we'll pick up the conversation as we get into the sanctuary. Okay, here we go. Walking out of the office and like I said, headed to the sanctuary. Now as a Christian, 10% of what we do for church life maybe happens in buildings and churches, as we would say churches. I would just say buildings and facilities like this. And the other 90% happens out there in the real world. 10% of how I hope my congregation and flock are fed happens in places like this, in the sanctuary. This is a beautiful sanctuary. The story is really cool. It's a video for another time, but 10% of how I hope they're being fed by the Lord, how they're being nourished by the Lord, happens in here on a Sunday morning. And I hope the other 90% happens out there in the real world, in their own lives, as they're reading their Bibles, as they're gathering together in homes, as they're listening to Christian worship music, as they're praying, things like that. Let me just show you a few of the beautiful things that we have here. Look at this pipe organ. This pipe organ is old, but yet this building is not. This building is only 25, 26 years old. This church came out of the rubble of two congregations that where both of their buildings were destroyed in a tornado in 1998. And so the two congregations came together and they formed New Hope Lutheran Church. Look at this wood carving. These are all individual pieces, y'all, that were cut and then molded together. Look at the intricate work on Jesus' hands, how intricate this woodwork is. The member who created this woodworking, this masterpiece, this beautiful artwork, has long since passed away. His son is still alive, and his son is an amazing carpenter and woodworker as well. A lot of the furnishings that we have in this sanctuary are very, very old, including these pews. These pews are from the original congregations and were fitted and put back together again after the tornado. They were salvaged, they were cut down, they were trimmed, and it's hard to tell, but this floor actually slopes downward, and so they had to meticulously trim and cut and angle and do what they do as craftsmen to make these pews all fit and beautifully align the way they do, with just amazing artistry and craftsman skill and mathematical precision, stuff that goes well above my head. These stained glass windows are just beautiful. They're a testament to the story of the people and what God is doing in their lives. And it happens here. 10% of their nourishment, of their spiritual nourishment, comes from being in here. The other 90% happens out there in the real world. And so it is with our diets as well. Let's go ahead and let's talk about that. Get the focus on my eye. Can you tell? This is probably my favorite place in the whole building. I love being in this sanctuary. I come in here to pray. I love doing my work in here on Sunday morning. I love preaching from my pulpit, which is right over here. Not because it's a pulpit. I actually never enjoyed preaching from a pulpit until I came here, and I actually adore preaching from this pulpit. I love being with my congregation here on Sunday mornings. I seem to really come alive and light up when I'm leading worship services in here because I get to be with my congregation. I get to be with the people that called me. Well, the Lord was the one who called me here, but the people, they were a part of that. They're a big part of that, and they're a big part of my lives, and I love being with them. And as it is here in this situation, worship is 10% of our lives as a Christian within the context of being in church on Sunday, and 90% of our Christian lives happens out there in the real world. And our diet journeys are really similar, in my humble opinion. I think only 10% of our diet journeys really have to do with what we consume on a daily basis, the food that we eat, the sustenance that we get, the water, the liquids that we pour down our throat, the electrolytes we drink. I am drinking LMNT right now. Element. They're not sponsoring this video in any way, shape, or form. I wouldn't complain if they did, but they're not. I enjoy the product, and I like the way it tastes, and I like what it does for my body, so I drink it a lot. One packet every single day. I drink a lot of water every day now. But only 10% of what I think I eat and what I drink, I think, makes up my carnivore journey. The other 90% of it, it's up here and it's right here. I don't know if I've said this before, but I actually started the carnivore journey a while ago. This isn't my first go around. I did it, maybe a year and a half ago, a little bit more. I think I started on June 7th, 2023, so do the math. The day after my anniversary, my wife and I started carnivore, and our daughter joined us on the journey. And I did well. I lost some weight. I lost almost 30 pounds in about 2.5 months period of time. And then we came back here to Minnesota for a family reunion. We were living in Nebraska at the time. And it was an excuse. I know now that it was an excuse, but I didn't want to alter my eating around them. Does that make sense? I didn't want to try to continue doing carnivore around them on vacation. I just figured, we'll go on vacation and we'll enjoy the family reunion. We'll eat all the foods that they're eating, and then when we get home, we'll get back on it again. Well, you know what? We never got back on it again. I never got back on it again. My head, my heart wasn't probably in the right place. I don't think I started the carnivore journey at that point in time for all the right reasons. At the time, our oldest daughter was stationed in Norway. She's an officer in the Navy, and she had a beautiful, cool overseas assignment in Norway. And we were going to go on vacation to see her and our son-in-law and to kind of like the land of our ancestors. My ancestors are from Norway, and so it was going to be like a win-win-win-win. We were going to get to see her and him and go to the land where my great-great-grandfather had been born. And it never ended up materializing. But my whole premise for starting carnivore diet at that time was to get skinny enough so that I could fit in the airplane seat and enjoy a vacation and go hiking and things like this. They're all noble things to want to think about. They would have been great. Those would have been great things, but my motivation was wrong. Does that make sense? My head and my heart were in it for all the wrong reasons. They weren't in it for the intangible, immaterial things, like getting healthy and feeling healthy and honoring God. That's why I'm doing this now. Yeah, I want the tangible. I want to be feeling better. I want to lose weight. I want to be thin again. I haven't been thin since I was in the Navy and since my wife and I got married. She got pregnant. I started gaining weight along with her. I had sympathy pregnancies 3 times, and then I continued to balloon more and more and more thereafter after my children were born. My own fault. Why? Because my head was never in the right place. Every time I tried to diet, I was doing it for all the wrong reasons. I wasn't doing it to ultimately be healthy. I was doing it for something else, something tangible, some other reward, a career or this or that or any other thing. I'm not doing it for any of those reasons other than right now I want to be healthy and I want to live longer. I want to see my grandson, who's just the cutest little button in the whole world. I know every grandparent says that, but my grandson really is that cute. He's just the cutest little boy, and he's got the most beautiful smile in the whole world. And I want to be around for him as he gets older. I want to be around for my youngest daughter, who's graduating college this May and who's getting married in July. I want to be around for her and her fiance, my future son-in-law. I want to be around for them whenever they decide to have children. I want to be around long enough to go visit my daughter, who's currently living and working in South Korea as a teacher. She's teaching little itty bitty kids how to speak English, and it's just so much fun to watch her do her work when we get to see it on video and things like that. She loves it over there. She's just come alive ever since she's been over there. She's like in her calling, This is where my calling happens, and I want to be around for these people. I want to be around for my family, and I don't want to go to an early grave. I think I mentioned in another video or two that I've lost a bunch of friends this last year, classmates, shipmates. They've died at an early age. I'm 55, man. I'll be 56 here in about 2 or 3 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks from yesterday, as a matter of fact. Ash Wednesday, I turned 56. But I've had classmates who have died. I think I've had 2 or 3 pass away this year, and at least 2 shipmates who have passed away this year. Too young, in my humble opinion. I don't know all the circumstances of the reason they passed away. But goodness gracious, the hole that was left behind, loved ones, children, spouses, parents, siblings, good friends. I'm not ready to depart this earth yet. I mean, whenever the Lord takes me home, the Lord takes me home, and I'm ready to go home whenever God calls me home. But if I can extend that out, if I have any say in it, which I know I don't, but if I have anything to do about it, I want to extend that out for as long as I can. I want to be healthy again. And that's the 90%. It's here and it's here. And so, and that's a daily battle for you and for me. We had this spaghetti supper this last Sunday to raise money for our nursing homes around here. A good mission cause. And as good Lutherans, we had more dessert than I think we had anything else. And I had to walk past that and go, I love those things, but I can't have them. And this morning we had a men's Bible study, and every month someone brings a different type of food, to have for breakfast. This morning the breakfast was Twinkies. I kid you not, Twinkies, and other hostess like cake, Twinkie-esque kinds of products, not healthy for you in any way. I looked at the guy, Rob, and I said, Harry, I said, go home and finish that box. I said, man, you'll be preserved. You won't even need any embalming when the day comes. And they all laughed, Who knows what's in those things? They say they can survive a nuclear blast. I used to love those things. Oh my gosh. I don't think I'd dare try to even eat one now. Right? But I had to look at those things all morning. I just kept drinking my water. It's up here. I got to remember that while I love those things that are sweet and salty and crunchy and all that stuff, I love junk food. I love things that aren't healthy for you. I can't eat those things right now. I have to abstain. 90% of what happens with my diet is here and here, and the same is true for you. I don't know what you have to resist. I don't know what you have to fight. I don't know what battles you have. But you have to face them every single day, and that's the only way we get from here to here, isn't it? I know maybe this sounds like a little micro sermon or a homily. I'm sorry if it does. But you know what can aid you in your journey? And I'm not trying to preach to you here, but prayer. Prayer helps. Sitting alone in a quiet place. Maybe reading scripture if you're a Christian, if you're a believer. If you believe in another faith, if you're a Jew or if you're a Muslim, read your scriptures. If you're nothing, if you don't believe in anything, right? Most of us aren't atheists, but there are a bunch of us that we just don't believe, we don't profess. But find something to believe in. I would encourage you, look to Christ. He's the one that gave me my life back, and maybe we'll talk about that on some other video. I'd literally be dead if it weren't for Jesus, and many times over. And I was raised as a Christian, but I didn't act like it when I was a kid. It took me till I was 27 to come to faith. And I really started to come alive after that point in time. And I'm forever grateful. Another conversation for another time. But find something intangible, something eternal, something essential that you can hold on to that's going to propel you forward and take you from where you are now to where you want to go. For me, that's my faith. That's my God. It's my congregation that are helping with that. My spouse is helping with that. You guys, believe it or not, are helping with that. My community, my friends are helping with that. You inspire me to continue on and to keep making videos like that. And so, yeah, our carnivore journeys, our ketovore journeys, your diet journey, it's what you're eating is 10% of it. The other 90%, it's all here. Most of it is right here in your heart. Think about these things as you go forward in your week. And then I want to encourage you. Drop me a comment down below. Ask a question down below. I really want to know, how can I help you? I might be physically more unhealthy than a lot of you. Some of you might be further along in your journey than me. But it doesn't mean that we can't help one another. And if you have a question, please drop it below and I'll answer it. If you have a spiritual question, drop it below and I'll answer it to the best of my ability. Do you hear that? You hear that noise? You hear that siren? That means it's lunchtime. It means it's noon. Live in a small town and the siren goes off every day at noon, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Say if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Boop that like button. The YouTube algorithm loves it, and they'll pass it on to more people so more people can watch this video. And if you haven't, please subscribe to my channel as well. I'm going to post some other videos right here. Do some binge watching. Take a look. Until I get to see you again right here at Holy Ketovore, whenever I make the next video in the next 2 days, I pray that you're doing well. I pray that God blesses you and keeps you, and that his face is shining upon you. Know that you are loved by him, and that I love you too. I'll talk with you again soon. Goodbye.